Hey Sunshine fam, you're going to see my Irish side today. Oh yes, oh yes. I was hoping I didn't have to make another video like this, but after what happened last night and over the last 18 hours here in Minnesota, I have a right to speak out. And this is my way of protesting. Now, let's be sure that, let's make one thing very clear. I have not gone out to protest on the streets. Not that I wouldn't have given the chance, but I also want to make one thing very clear to you. I'm afraid to leave my apartment at this point. There have been 2 shootings by ICE over the past week. One ended in death of a woman, and we all have seen the many videos that have come out from that one. And I'm sure we are going to see even more about the one that happened last night around 7 o'clock. I'm sure you've seen some of them at this point. But I am furious, absolutely furious. Now, the Irish are known for their temper. Today, I am definitely Chloe Murphy. So let's read our local news station, okay? This is a quote from Carpathia, and every day, more and more, he is turning into Nikolai Carpathia from Left Behind. If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE. Patriots, really? Who are only trying to do their job. Bullshit, I call BS. I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me. You know how you can tell he's lying because his lips are moving? And quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. Has he ever been here? I'd have to do my research on that because I can't answer that question at this point. Trump said in a social media post, isn't it interesting how he hides behind his damn computer and behind a TV camera, but he doesn't have the balls to show up here? So let's talk about that for a minute. All these other presidents, these many presidents that have instituted the Insurrection Act. I looked that up too. There's only been 17. He's the 47th president. Abraham Lincoln invoked the act at the beginning of the Civil War. Ulysses S. Grant used the law a record 6 times in the 1870s to combat the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacist violence during the Reconstruction era. Dwight D. Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy used the act during the Civil Rights Movement to enforce federal court-ordered school desegregation when state governors resisted. Lyndon B. Johnson invoked the act to protect civil rights activists marching from Selma to Montgomery in 1965 and later during riots, let's keep that word in mind, in Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. George H.W. Bush Sr. was the most recent president to use the act, deploying troops to Los Angeles in 1992 at the request of the California governor during the Rodney King riots. The Insurrection Act has not been invoked for over 30 years. Making it the longest period in U.S. history without its use. Like I said, Carpathia, show up here and tell us that we're rioting in the streets. Okay, in Minneapolis last night, smoke filled the street Wednesday night near the site of the latest shooting as federal officers wearing gas masks and helmets fired tear gas into a small crowd while protesters threw rocks and shot fireworks. I don't condone that. okay? We need to stop attacking ICE. Not that I support ICE, I do not, and especially the way that they're going about doing this crap. But don't hit them with shovels and broomsticks. Come on, folks. We're better than that. We're bigger than that. Listen to the governor. Carpathia is looking for a fight from us. Don't give it to them. Okay? I understand we're trying to protect our neighbors. Okay? But don't start attacking ICE. That's only going to get you thrown in jail. All right? That's what happened to those two guys last night. Things later began to quiet down at the scene, and by early Thursday, fewer demonstrators and law enforcement officers were there. Such protest scenes have become common on the streets of Minneapolis since a federal agent fatally shot Renee Good on January 7th amid a massive immigration crackdown that has seen thousands of officers sent into the Twin Cities. And it has been proven on record that we have the most agents sent to our tiny little city than any other city in the U.S. Think about that. We aren't called Minnesota Nice for no reason. Agents have yanked people from cars and homes and been confronted by angry bystanders who are demanding that officers pack up and leave. This is an impossible situation that our city is presently being put in, says Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. And at the same time, we are trying to find a way forward to keep people safe, to protect our neighbors, and to maintain order. This is a very interesting fact. I don't know if you guys saw the press conference that the mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul and our AG, Ellison, give yesterday or 2 days ago, prior to the shooting last night. Jacob Frey described a federal force that is 5 times as big as the city's 600-officer police force and has invaded the city, scaring and angering residents, some of whom want the officers to fight ICE agents. At the same time, the police force is still responsible for their day-to-day work to keep the public safe. This is where it confuses me. The police department has the same laws that the U.S. government is supposed to enforce from the Constitution. And one of those is to protect its citizens. Yet we're supposed to believe that the police force cannot intervene in these raids by ICE. And let's talk about that for a minute, okay? Oh, this is just pissing me off. I have so much to say and I just cannot get it all out at one time. ICE was sent to our cities, not just here in the Twin Cities. It started out actually in Washington, D.C., which surprises me. And they're all over the U.S., to be honest with you. But they were sent here to get rid of illegal immigrants. And Carpathia seems to think that the immigrants are the only ones, or at least this is the way he's portraying it, that they're the only ones that are committing these heinous crimes. Really? You want to talk about gang members? Like I said in my last video about this? In order to get into a gang, the people that are in the gang have to beat the crap out of you, whether you're male or female. And to get out is even worse. You could get killed getting out. And these are American citizens, okay? Now, let's go back to the George Floyd thing. I didn't see ICE coming in for that. Granted, that didn't have anything to do with immigration. But I didn't see the military being called up for that either. A lot of people saw what happened in the aftermath of the George Floyd killing. This is back in 2020, not to try and sidetrack from what's going on, but these all kind of ties in together with Minneapolis. Because this is what we've been sadly getting to be known for. George Floyd was killed over a counterfeit $20 bill. It angered us. Okay? What happened to him? The law stepped in. All 4 officers were fired within a day. All 4 officers went to court, and all 4 officers went to jail. 3 of them have now been released. Derek Chauvin, not so much, because he was the one responsible for George Floyd's death. Justice was served. Do you want to know which law firm Renee Good's family has used? The same law firm that the family of George Floyd used. The same law firm that the family of Daunte Wright used. Kim Potter sat in jail too. She quit her job after a day or so, and even the chief of police of Brooklyn Park quit his job when the heat got to be too much for him. He wasn't, I mean, he didn't have anything to do with it. He was just the chief of police, so he didn't go to trial. But you could clearly see that Kim Potter knew she did wrong. After George Floyd, there were worldwide protests. Ireland, Africa, England, Australia. I mean, it was all over. I haven't seen that that's going on now over the killing of Renee Good. Now, granted, the shooting last night wasn't a killing. It was in the leg. But Renee Good was sitting in her vehicle. Actually, let me go back to George Floyd. I don't want to get too far off the track because I tend to do that. I swear I don't have ADHD. I just have a lot of thoughts in my head and I just go off on them. Maybe that is a symptom of ADHD, but I've never been diagnosed with it. George Floyd. The people that burned down pretty much all of Lake Street, all those businesses in Lake Street, remember that? Those were not Minnesotans that did that. The news media would have you believe that, but that's not the truth. Mostly those people came from Colorado. And they came into our state and burned down businesses that had nothing to do with George Floyd. Why are they burning down a post office? Why are they burning down a Walgreens? Why are they burning down a business that helped fix cars? Are you kidding me? Those people had nothing to do with George Floyd. They were just as mad as you people were at the killing of George Floyd. We found justice when they sent Derek Chauvin to jail. We were celebrating that, okay? We didn't condone what he did. None of us did. So let's get the facts straight. Stop listening to the news. And definitely stop listening to the people in Washington, D.C. Because I've done my research on them as well. Let's see here. Let's go to my Facebook page and see what I've posted over the last several days about this. I'm trying to take a break from it, but then this happened last night. I'll go past my last video here. No, we won't do that. Well, I'll go ahead and do this one here. Sorry, Sea Dog. I know you said you took too many pauses the last time. Because I was trying to look up information on my phone. Okay, so while this doesn't really have anything to do with what's going on here, I posted this. This was yesterday. I said, while Trump's focus is on Venezuela, taking over Greenland, standing with Iran, and his favorite subject, his precious ballroom, I'll get to that in a second, there are thousands of dolphins and pilot whales being murdered and sold to marine parks in Taiji, Japan. Have we forgotten the message from the movie The Cove? This is me trying to deflect to redirect focus on things that are happening outside of Minneapolis. Meanwhile, here at home, there are people making money from their puppy and kitty mills. Our elders are being abused in facilities that are understaffed and overworked. Homelessness keeps going up every year, and not all of them are strung out on drugs and alcohol. Our children are going to school and being bullied or are bullying, being taught how to contact CPS on their parents, and shootings seem to be the norm. When is the tide going to turn, people? So on that, I thought, you know what? I want to find out who these people are that are spreading these lies about Minnesota and about Renee Good. Kristi Noem. Okay, think of her last name. You want to take something out on it? Buy a gnome, put her face on it, and beat the crap out of it. Yeah, I can hear John is laughing right now. Probably all of you are. Let's turn the tables here, folks. It's time we investigate those that are in power. Madam Secretary of the DHS, how well have you been obeying the laws of the U.S.? Are you doing your research, folks? The characterization of Kristi Noem's record as sterling clean is a subject of significant debate, as she has faced multiple ethics investigations and controversies during her time as governor of South Dakota. And since. News reports from outlets like ProPublica and the Associated Press have detailed a number of issues. Get your notepads out, folks. This is one that you probably have not looked at. Key points of scrutiny include undisclosed income. A ProPublica investigation found that in 2023, just 3 years ago, a dark money nonprofit that promotes her political career, American Resolve Policy Fund, secretly routed an $80,000 payment to a personal company Noem established in Delaware. Noem, who is now the Secretary of Homeland Security, did not include this income on her initial federal disclosure forms, which ethics experts say is a likely violation of requirements. Likely? Really? Her lawyer stated she fully complied with the law and that the Office of Government Ethics, OGE, cleared her financial information. Typical. Though it is unclear if the OGE was specifically aware of the payment from the dark money group. Daughter's appraiser license. This one's going to make you laugh. A state government accountability board found evidence to suggest Noem engaged in misconduct by committing malfeasance. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't even know what that word means. I didn't even look it up. And a conflict of interest in 2020. Okay, in order to get a real estate, maybe I didn't even say that yet. Okay, this stemmed from a meeting. Let me keep going. This stemmed from a meeting she held with her daughter and state officials shortly after the state agency denied her daughter's real estate appraiser license application. Don't you have to be an adult for that? So why do you need mommy to hold your hand? Days after the meeting, the daughter was given another opportunity to meet the requirements and ultimately obtain the license. Talk about being a bully. Use of state resources. News reports and an analysis by the Associated Press have highlighted Noem's extensive use of state-owned airplanes for political events and family travel, which critics argue violates the state law that requires the aircraft to be used solely for state business. She has also faced scrutiny for high-end expenses on a state credit card, including nearly $650,000 over her tenure, far exceeding her predecessors. Book anecdotes. Her book, No Going Back, has faced fact-checking scrutiny for containing several questionable or inaccurate anecdotes. You can do what you want, but I wouldn't put any more money in her pocket if I were you. Accusations against tribes and the FBI. As governor and later as Homeland Security Secretary, Nome made several high-profile accusations, including claiming tribal leaders were profiting from drug cartels on Native American reservations, leading to tribes banning her from their lands, and publicly accusing the FBI of leaking details of a planned ICE raid, a claim the FBI called deeply irresponsible. In summary, a sterling clean record is not how her tenure is widely described by independent news organizations and government accountability groups, which have detailed multiple instances of ethical concerns and legal challenges. Furthermore, she has Norwegian ancestry and is a descendant of Ephraim Wilson, who fought in the American Revolutionary War. In 1990, Nome graduated from Hamlin High School in Hayti, Hayti, South Dakota, and get this, was crowned South Dakota Snow Queen. Snow Queen, really? That explains her icy demeanor. Any questions? Okay, so then I thought, let's look into the press secretary. Madam Press Secretary Leavitt, how do you explain the following fraud about your campaign donations? Carolyn Leavitt's record is not considered sterling clean by news outlets and watchdog groups due to ongoing scrutiny and an active Federal Election Commission, FEC, complaint related to her 2022 congressional campaign finances. Key issues highlighted in reports include FEC complaint, Leavitt's 2022 campaign, Carolyn for Congress, accepted donations that exceeded the legal limit a single donor can contribute, according to amended FEC filings. A Liberal Political Action Committee and Citizens United filed a complaint with the FEC regarding these issues. Unpaid debts. The campaign still owes over $325,000 to creditors and donors due to unreturned illegal or excessive contributions, as well as outstanding vendor payments. Lack of funds. As of recent filings, mid-2025, the campaign has no cash on hand to settle these debts, having already spent the funds in question. Ethical concerns. The situation has raised ethical questions, particularly as she is now the White House press secretary, about seeking donations to settle old campaign debts while holding a high-profile government position. She's asking the American public for more money so that she can pay off these other people? What? Does that make sense to you? The FEC has not yet ruled on the complaint, partly due to lacking the minimum number of commissioners required to conduct high-level business. Guess the jury is still out on this one. Always do your research. I was trying to find some dirt on Jonathan Ross, but I couldn't find anything that has any kind of criminal record in his background. For those of you that don't know, Jonathan Ross is the one that shot and murdered Renee Good. However, given the many lies that are being told by the White House, by those at the White House, that obviously don't do proper research about Renee Good and her criminal background, this is taken from our local people. Quote, "But according to her grieving family, that is not at all who Good was, a criminal. And she does not deserve the nasty comments swirling around about her. I've been pretty quiet about this because I wanted to wait until our family could piece together a statement, and it is finally published. You never think the passing of a loved one will be high profile or a massively divisive political topic," Morgan Fletcher, Good's sister-in-law, posted on Facebook on Monday. "Regardless of what happened, she was our family. My husband Cole and my sister-in-law and our nephew is now an orphan." Fletcher, who is related to Good's late ex-husband, Timmy Macklin Jr., said. "And we've seen the false claims and the wrong Renee Good's info being posted. Criminal history? She didn't have one," Fletcher wrote. Online users have speculated the Good was a child abuser who lost custody of her kids. Yes, she had 3 of them. A lot of people are just saying that she had the one child because that's who they were focusing on, because she had dropped her 6-year-old off at school, but she has 2 other kids. But according to public records reviewed by the Daily Mail, the only criminal infraction she faced was failing to have her vehicle inspected. Now let's talk about the tactics that ICE is using. They were sent to cities to arrest illegal immigrants. There was a video I saw yesterday where somebody, I didn't quite get who was asking the questions, but he wasn't allowing her to answer the questions fully because she keeps going off on the tirade to CYA or CHA, cover her ass. He was saying that she has stated that the military is not part of these raids and are not being detained. And he had several military people in this audience, whatever. It looked like it was maybe like a congressional hearing or something like that. She was in the hot seat. So one of these people that stood up, his wife was in the military and was detained. And Kristi Noem kept saying, well, it depends on the circumstance. His wife wrote bad checks. So you're probably asking yourself while I was reading about her minor things, you know, like her book deal. Well, why are you bringing that up? It's not a hardcore crime. Because she's doing the same thing. She's having her ICE people do the same frickin' thing. They're arresting U.S. citizens with no criminal background. They're pulling people out of their cars just for driving down the frickin' street because they look Mexican, or they look black, or they look Asian, or they have an accent. This should infuriate all of us. This kind of behavior is not what ICE should be doing. Do you see the police doing what ICE is doing? Do you see the police having a squad detain one person? Do you see the police carrying rifles and tear gas cans and pepper spray? Well, maybe pepper spray. They might do that. I know they have handguns, obviously, to protect themselves and those around them. And I know the police have shot people. But come on. Or to quote the Irish, cop on, you feckin' idiots. You don't need 30 or 40 ICE agents to take down one person. And when I looked that up as to why they're sending so many people to arrest 1 or 2 people, they said, oh, they do it for protection. What? Have you once seen any of these people that are being arrested hold a weapon to any of these ICE agents and threatening them with death? I haven't. Leave your comments below if you have, please, to correct me. But I'm saying I haven't seen it, and I've watched a lot of videos. There is no reason for 30 or 40 ICE agents to show up at a gas station in the middle of the day in St. Paul to arrest one illegal immigrant to the point of putting him in unconscious and then attacking another person, a bystander that had nothing to do with it, that was just filming them. We legally have the right to do that. Watch anybody that talks about these videos. We as American citizens have the right to film stuff like that on public property. And ICE has no business going into a private business, storming in there to try to drag people out, like what happened at Target in Robbinsdale. 2 Mexicans that worked for Target were detained with, like, I don't know, 5 agents on each person. Do you really need 5 people to take down 2 Mexicans that were not threatening them? They were doing their jobs. Speaking of doing jobs, I did my research on that too. Like I know anything about research, right? In America, a company cannot knowingly hire somebody that is not documented, that is an illegal immigrant. This includes Uber, DoorDash, Uber Eats, any of the Script, whatever, or Shipped, whatever it's called, any of these delivery services. They can't do that. And when you apply for these places, including these delivery services, they do a background check on you. Even if you're an American and you have a felony conviction, you won't get hired, depending on what the conviction is. I mean, if it's something not relating to the job, then they might hire you. If it's a misdemeanor, depending on what it was, they will hire you. But think about that, people. These ICE agents went to a Target and didn't ask for ID, which, by the way, you don't have to show them their ID, even if you're in your car or in your like walking on the street or whatever. Actually, that's not right. I'm sorry. If you're in your car and they ask for ID, even the police ask for your ID, and you do have to show them your ID. But if they try to come into a public or a private place, like a business or your home, you don't have to let them in without a warrant. And do you realize most of these ICE agents don't come with a warrant? So they have to go and get one. So they go away. So guess what? Once they go away, you can leave. And they come back to an empty house. Why is it that the American public is smarter than these so-called American ICE agents? We know more than they do. We know our rights better than they do. Stop and think about that. We're doing our research. Obviously they aren't. They're just following the orders of a madman who can't even keep his focus. I was going to get to that. He can't even keep his focus in a meeting with oil execs about Venezuela without turning around and staring at a foundation for his beautiful ballroom. This guy is delusional. He stops the meeting so that he can get up and look outside the window behind him to look at what's going to be his beautiful ballroom and say, oh, look what a beautiful view. That's going to be our ballroom. You're supposed to be talking about oil, dude. This guy is delusional. You guys are, I can honestly, in my brain, I can hear John laughing hysterically right now because of this. Because I speak the truth. You're right, John. I do speak the truth because I do my research. And I don't listen to the damn news. Yeah, local news I will. Because I don't trust the other news outlets. And maybe the local news isn't exactly 100% right either. Because they might be taking it from the national news. But the national news was very quick to defend what Trump and Noam were saying about Renee Good. That she was a domestic terrorist and that she purposely tried to run him over. That's the other thing that I read this morning or yesterday. You don't hear anything about Jonathan Good anymore ever since the day of the shooting. Well, guess what our local news said? And maybe this has been on the national news. I don't know if you even know this bit of information. He was taken to the hospital after he was hit by the car. The jury is still out whether or not he was hit. And even if he was, look at the videos over and over and over again. okay? Even if he was hit, the roads were icy. There is no possible way she was speeding towards him. He was standing directly in front of her car. If the front of her car was here, he was right here. So even if she was speeding, she would have barely bumped him. And he was standing in front of her driver's side headlight. He wasn't directly in front of her car, in the middle of her car. She was off to the side. So even if he was hit, she was barely moving and moving away from him. So all these people that are out there on these videos saying, "Oh yeah, she deserved to be shot because of this." I'll get to another incident with Jonathan Ross in a second that goes back to last year. But Jonathan Ross was taken to the hospital after this incident last Wednesday. They found, or it's being reported, that they found that he had internal bleeding, but they're not saying to the extent. They're not saying that it was caused by him getting hit by her vehicle. It could be caused by a number of different reasons. It could have been a bruise that he had. But did he fall on the ground? No. Was he doubled over in pain after he got hit? No. If you look at the aftermath, after he shot her, the last word she said that we are aware of, as he's walking around her car, she's smiling at him. She's not pointing a gun at him. She's not threatening him. She's smiling at him and says, "It's okay, dude. I'm not mad at you." And what were the last words he said after he shot her? "Effing bitch." What? He gets up and starts walking around. He's not doubled over in pain. He's not, "Oh my God, my side is hurting so bad." And then they're saying that he got taken to the hospital and he was found to have internal bleeding. Nobody from the hospital has made a statement. As you heard, Renee Good's family made a statement. Jonathan Ross hasn't made a statement. If he was in the right, why isn't he saying, "Hey, she's the one that did this to me. This is what happened from my point of view"? He's filming the whole thing. Now, I don't think he intended to shoot her. But going to that, and what I was just saying about a minute ago, last year, and I'm sure you've heard this story, last year, he was trying to make an arrest of a Mexican person that was here, I think illegally, and that guy was a criminal. He had a sex offense charge against him. And in pictures that I've seen that are not doctored, he's reaching his arm inside the car to try to open the guy's door. Okay. Now, the guy is next to a truck, which I presume was ICE, and there wasn't much room between the criminal's car, the Mexican guy's car, and this truck. Well, Jonathan Ross appeared to be the only person that was at the guy's window. There were other agents there, but they were behind the car. And as the guy drives off, he does hit the truck. And Jonathan Ross's arm is still in the window. So he drags Jonathan Ross. Now, I've heard 100 yards, I've heard 300 yards, whatever it was. He dragged him down the street. How far doesn't really matter. Before Jonathan was able to take his arm out and escape. And he had to have 13 stitches. Okay. That was wrong. I'll agree with that. The guy shouldn't have driven off. The guy definitely shouldn't have driven off holding on to Ross with him in his car. Especially since he was a criminal. But they're saying that because of that incident... Oh, and going back to that, he didn't shoot the Mexican with a gun. He shot him with a taser 3 times. Once in the head, or twice in the head, I think, and once in the shoulder, because he was kind of, reaching and tased him while he was being dragged down the street. Didn't shoot him with a gun. Obviously, they have tasers. Now they're saying because of that incident, that's why Jonathan Ross reacted the way he did with Renee Good. Because that probably, I mean, in the split second, I guess we can go to Kim Potter, she pulled out her gun instead of her taser, and in a split second made a bad decision. But that may be why he took his gun out and shot her 3 times at point blank range. He could have taken out his taser, could have tased her rather than killed her, but he didn't. He took out his gun. So why is it that he tased the one guy but he killed the other one? I guess we'll find out. So what bothers me, like I said, you don't see the police walking around in full tactical gear, holding on to rifles in front of them, ready to shoot anybody that gets in their way. The video from the gas station in St. Paul, if you look at a few of those videos, somebody was filming the bystanders, you know, behind the car that they were trying to get the other guy out of. There was a guy with his camera, with his phone camera, filming the ICE agents, and the ICE agents were like, "Get back, get back, get back! You can't film us." And they're like, "Yes, we can." The guy filming never touched the ICE agent. The ICE agent came and shoved the guy back, and he was several feet back. And the guy that was filming put his arm out, and even if he touched the guy, it was a touch. It wasn't a shove. He wasn't trying to shove him or anything. Then the ICE agent aggressively came towards the guy that was filming. And all of a sudden you see 5 or 6 more people taking this guy down. He didn't do anything wrong. He was filming them. He was later released. And his girlfriend was right there trying to get the ICE agents off of her. But that guy was later released. But they tackled him for that? He didn't do anything. He was just filming them. He didn't even go after the ICE agent. The ICE agent was the aggressor in that case. And this was after Renee Good was shot and killed. How about the fact that at Roosevelt High School in Minneapolis, the same, like hours after Renee was shot and killed, the ICE agents were following a person in a car. Now, whether that had to do with why they were there on that street on Portland Avenue with the Renee Good thing, and I'll get back to that one again in a second. I don't know if those two were the same because they were trying, I mean, they weren't obviously after Renee Good, okay? They were after somebody else. Whether it's this other person, I don't know, but the person went to Roosevelt High School, and all of a sudden, the army of ICE agents went to the school around the time that the kids were getting out of school. And you want to know what happened there? They started tackling the kids that were coming out of school. They took in at least one staff member that was trying to protect the kids and arrested that person. I think that person was later let go, released. But at a high school? Are you kidding me? The person in the car, I don't think, went into the school, so they had no reason to tackle the kids that were just leaving the school. They had no idea what was going on outside. They were just leaving school. And all of a sudden, they're being met with all these ICE people and being tackled to the ground. What? And we're just supposed to roll over and say, okay, go ahead, do what you want to do. Go ahead and tackle us. Go ahead and shoot us. Go ahead and shove us. And we're just supposed to say, okay, go ahead, arrest us for doing nothing. Of course we're not going to do that. You wouldn't do that, would you? If you're just walking down the street and all of a sudden you're surrounded by 15, 20 ICE people and they're demanding your ID when you're not doing anything, are you just going to say, Okay, just go ahead and arrest me. Go ahead and take me to the ground. Go ahead and shoot me with your guns. Go ahead and throw a CS can in my face. Are you going to do that? I don't think so. And these ICE people are Americans. They're our fellow Americans, and they're acting like this against us? Are you kidding me? This is enough to anger all of us. But like I said, I'm even afraid now to leave my apartment. But going back to the Renee Good thing, there was a lot of stuff to be said about Renee Good and that incident. The way that she was parked, and I may have put this in my last video about this, the way she was parked, kind of diagonally, kind of kittywampus, there were cars that were able to go around her. So if the ICE agents were trying to get around her, they had plenty of room. They didn't have to do what they did. They didn't have to demand she get out of the car. She wasn't doing anything. She wasn't blocking traffic. She was blocking one lane of traffic, but there was another lane. And you could clearly see there were other cars that went around her. Didn't hit her car, didn't hit the cars on the other side of the street that were parked there. And then they're saying, oh yeah, she sped off. No. She didn't speed off. She was dead by the time her car started going faster. She was already shot before her car started accelerating. Get your story straight, DC. Kristi Noem. Nikolai Carpathia. J.D. Vance. Let's see all of you people come here and see how we really act. Nikolai Carpathia, how would you act if your wife was all of a sudden surrounded by all these ICE agents and demanding her ID and trying to arrest her? She's from Slovenia. And I actually looked up a picture of Jonathan Ross, and his wife looks to be Filipino. Why isn't he arresting her? She's an immigrant. I saw a video that was posted on Facebook the other day. I don't know if you've seen this one, about a guy. I don't know where he's from, maybe South Africa or something, because he's black and he does have a bit of an accent. He's basically just sitting in his car at the Minneapolis airport, waiting for an Uber. He's in a rented car, and at first he's taking the video of himself. At first he's just conversing with a woman. Now this one didn't get out of hand. It was just conversation between him and all these other ICE agents, including the big honcho guy that's been on all these videos. I don't know if he's the head of them or what. I don't know, but he's been showing up in a lot of videos. I don't remember his name. But he showed up at this location. And this woman is asking this guy, the civilian, the woman was ICE, for his ID. And if he was a U.S. citizen, he goes, why are you asking me this? He goes, I don't have to answer your questions. And then all of a sudden 2 or 3 more ICE agents come. By the end of it, there must have been about 10 ICE agents on this guy. And then you see a crowd behind him, and I'm like, oh my God, how many people do they have to have? Well, the crowd behind him, once he turns the camera around and is filming himself from behind, you see that they're civilians filming the whole situation. You know, because we're all doing that now. And like I said, I'm usually not for filming situations that somebody's in trouble, but nowadays in Minneapolis, I think you kind of have to as proof. I mean, look what happened with the Renee Good thing. Proof that she did not try to, and she definitely did not run him over. Okay, I think the funniest videos I've seen, and Jimmy Kimmel has actually put this on his show too, where the ICE agents are slipping on the ice and falling down. Although one of them was a little bit scary because when the guy started falling, his gun went off. And then the guy that was walking behind him also fell on the ice. So that was kind of a dangerous situation. I think maybe he had his hand on his gun, and when he slipped and fell, his finger hit the trigger and his gun went off. That was a little bit scary because he could have hit a civilian as he was falling. So that could have been a dangerous situation. It doesn't sound like he did, but the other day I had physical therapy. And as I was walking out to my car, I heard the familiar sound of like when a police officer is trying to pull somebody over and they honk their horn. It's not your typical, honk honk. I don't know, maybe I put this in my last video. I may have. Where I thought that the person was an ICE agent, but it was one person in one vehicle. It wasn't like a whole group of people. The person themselves looked like a police officer, but the vehicle threw me because it wasn't your typical police vehicle. It wasn't the black. And it didn't, from what I remember, it didn't look like an SUV. It looked more like a van. Maybe a cross between a van and an SUV, but it was like a gray or a light blue color, but it did have the red and blue lights. And I've looked it up, and no police department has that kind of a vehicle. So that's why I was thinking it might be ICE, but I can't say for sure. So yeah, I am a little bit freaked out because the way I'm thinking, all these immigrants and even regular people that live or are in or near Minneapolis or St. Paul might start coming out to the suburbs. And then the ICE agents are going to come out this way. So that does have me concerned. That's why a lot of people don't want to leave their homes. And even Mayor Fry was saying that, and even AG Ellison, Attorney General Ellison. I think he used to be the chief of police in Minneapolis, and then he's now our Attorney General. But one thing I want to stress to all of you out there, if you want to protest, you have every right to do that. It's in the First Amendment. But do so peacefully. Do not instigate the ICE agents. Do not hit them with anything, snowballs or baloney. I've seen baloney being thrown at an ICE car, which I thought was quite hysterical. I don't remember which video I saw that one in, but might have been Stephen Colbert did one about that. I don't know. One of those talk shows people did something about that, but guy was throwing baloney. I think that's funny. Not like that was going to hurt the ICE agent or whatever, but don't instigate them, but know your rights. You don't have to identify yourself. You don't have to answer their questions. And get yourself a freaking good lawyer if you do get arrested and you have no reason to be arrested. The police will ask for your ID first. And they'll do it in a calm manner. They won't have their guns drawn in most cases. I mean, if you're running from them, yeah, then of course they're gonna do that. But if they're just pulling you over for a traffic stop, or if you're sitting on the side of the road and they come up to you, they're not going to have their guns drawn. They're not going to have 30 or 40 officers at your car in a situation like that. But yet ICE seems to think that they need that many people. All because of Carpathia. And now he sent another 1,000 people here. And now he's going to call up the National Guard. Our governor is planning on deploying our National Guard to protect us. Not to stand with ICE, but to protect us. So listen to our leaders, okay? Listen to the governor, listen to the AG, listen to the chief of police, listen to our mayors. Stay calm. Do not feed into Carpathia's delusions. Do not be hitting these guys with broomsticks and shovels. Don't hit them with snowballs. Yell at them if you want to. Throwing verbal rocks at your mediocrity, to quote Hamilton. Throw your verbal rocks, not real ones. Stay safe. But stand up for your rights. Because, again, to quote Hamilton, if you stand for nothing, what will you fall for? I hope I never have to make another video like this again. These ICE agents need to go back and review why they're here and how to do things properly. They don't need 30 people to arrest one person. If they want to send like up to 5, okay, but they don't need 30 of them. They don't need to be walking around our city streets like it's a frickin' war zone with their guns out, their rifles, or whatever the hell the kind of guns they are. You are not making us feel safe. We were a safe city before you people showed up. And if you're here to arrest illegal immigrants, do it the proper way. You don't need to use Gestapo tactics. You don't need to wrestle them to the ground before you even identify who they are. And you sure as hell don't need to be shooting any of us. At least the guy last night shot the Venezuelan in the leg rather than killing him. And from what I understand, both of them have been, well, maybe not the Venezuelan, but I know that the ICE agent also went to the hospital and he was released. So they're not saying the extent of his injuries, but please don't be hitting these guys with any objects or anything. Just stay calm, yell at them if you have to, but stay out of their frickin' way. You know, be Minnesotans, Minnesota nice. And stay safe, people. And for Nikolai Carpathia, J.D. Vance, and Kristi Noem, if you're watching this, get your asses out of frickin' Washington, D.C. and come over here and see for yourself what's going on. And I'd like to encourage more of our Minnesotans that might have a YouTube channel. You tell it the way you're seeing it. Now, I'm not saying that all of these other YouTubers I'm watching are saying the falsehoods and listening to DC. They're actually on our side. We've got everybody backing us, which we really, really appreciate. We love you people. But we need more Minnesotans on social media with their cameras and commenting on what we're seeing. Don't just show the videos, but comment. And tell the rest of the world what we are dealing with here. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there. I haven't really gone in to see if there's any Minnesotans that have a YouTube channel that are doing what I'm doing right now. And I'm not out there. Obviously, I'm not going to put myself in harm's way. There was a big protest over by the grocery store I used to work at and that I still shop at occasionally, that showed at least 100 people on the streets, but they weren't blocking traffic. They weren't throwing anything. I didn't see any ICE agents out there or anything. But cars that were driving on the road, I've only seen one video of this, so I'm guessing there is only one. But cars on the road were honking their horns in support of these people. And the people on the road seemed to be having like a cowbell or whatever. But you may notice in these videos when the ICE people show up, you'll be hearing horns honking, like car horns honking. You'll be hearing people blowing whistles. And I always wondered about that. And Sea-Dog told me that they're doing that to alert other people in the neighborhood that ICE is there, so that people can either hide in their homes or they can come out and protest against them. So that's why you're hearing all these horns honking and whistles blowing when there's ICE in the neighborhood. I don't know where Sea-Dog got his information from, but that's what he told me. So that makes sense. And then for Kristi Noem to sit there and say, oh, you know, and even Nikolai Carpathia sending these people over here, oh, it's supposed to be a clandestine thing where we're supposed to secretly go in. Well, if that's the case, why are you coming out in full tactical gear holding your guns? You may not be announcing where you're going to go, and a lot of the time the ICE agents are in, this is the scary part, the ICE agents are in unmarked cars. So you have no idea when you're driving on the street if you've got ICE around you. So that's why I say be careful out there. That's another reason I don't want to leave my house, because, I mean, granted, right now I feel safe here where I'm at, because I'm about a half an hour away from Minneapolis downtown. Sea Dog and Silver Star, not so much. They're like the next city outside of Minneapolis, so I was very scared for them last night. But most of the attention seems to be in downtown Minneapolis. But like I said, if these people that they're after start coming to the suburbs, they're going to start following them out this way. And I know that we do have a lot of Somalis where I live, and that's their main focus, I guess. Not all. And here's another thing. After 9/11, we kept thinking that all Muslims were bad because of 9/11. Not true. Not all police officers are bad because of George Floyd, and not all Somalis are bad. Okay? You cannot link one group of people over the actions of a few. Yay! Yes, I know. So now that my battery is half empty, I'm going to go ahead and let this go because I'm sure it's going to be an hour-long video. But please stay safe out there, folks. Be vigilant and do not fight the ICE agents with weapons. Protect yourselves and get a lawyer if necessary. You're not safe anywhere. Even in your jobs, obviously. All right. So try to have a sunny day. Try to have a safe day. I'm going to start saying that. Have a safe and sunny day. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.